Remember that feeling? The excitement of bringing home a new movie? The promise of crystal clear, high-definition visuals, finally escaping the fuzzy prison of standard DVD. Two formats stood ready to deliver that promise: Blu-ray and HD DVD. For consumers, it was a simple choice. But for the tech industry, it was a multi-billion-dollar winner-take-all brawl. As we dissect so many technology scandals here on Tech Fails, few failures are as fast, brutal, and comprehensive as the demise of the HD DVD. In just 3 short years, a technology backed by titans like Toshiba, Microsoft, and Universal was utterly vaporized. It was a technology that was arguably cheaper and faster to implement. It's a classic case of how the best tech doesn't always win, and how a single, devastatingly smart strategic move can crush a competitor. This isn't just a story about plastic discs. It's a story about fatal mistakes. These mistakes led directly to the sunset of HD DVD, costing its backers nearly $1 billion and forever changing the home entertainment landscape. This is the breakdown of how HD DVD ultimately lost the format war to Blu-ray. To truly understand the war, you first have to understand the battlefield. By the early 2000s, standard definition DVDs had been the undisputed king of home video for about a decade. But one fundamental shift was happening rapidly in living rooms everywhere: the rise of the HD TV. Those beautiful, flat-screen plasma and LCD TVs were exposing the painful limitations of the old 480p DVD resolution. The market was screaming for a way to deliver true 1080p content directly into the home. Consumers were demanding better visual fidelity. Enter the two main contenders. Both of these next-generation discs used a blue laser, which gives the Blu-ray its name. This blue laser has a shorter wavelength than the red laser used in standard DVDs. This allows for much smaller pits to be read on the disc surface. Smaller pits meant that exponentially more data could be stored on a disc that was physically the same size. This technical jump was necessary for high-definition video. HD DVD was developed primarily by Toshiba. Their design was essentially an evolution of the existing DVD technology standard. This meant that existing DVD manufacturing plants could be converted to produce HD DVDs faster and cheaper than the competition. This was their initial ace in the hole, a lower barrier to entry. Blu-ray, on the other hand, was the brainchild of a powerful consortium led by Sony, Panasonic, and Philips, the Blu-ray Disc Association. Their technology was a much more radical departure. This meant more expensive initial manufacturing for Blu-ray discs and players. However, this radical design allowed Blu-ray to offer a huge, critical storage advantage over their rival. This format clash was a direct echo of the famous Betamax versus VHS war that had happened decades earlier. But this time, the financial stakes were far higher, and the pace of the fight would be much, much faster. When both formats launched commercially in 2006, HD DVD actually had some very significant initial advantages that helped it gain traction. First, the cost. HD DVD players were generally cheaper to produce and therefore retailed for much less than the early Blu-ray players. In the nascent, early high-def market, price was naturally a major consumer concern. People were hesitant to spend big on unproven technology. Second, ease of production was another major plus. Because HD DVD was structurally so similar to the older DVD, it was easier and cheaper for movie studios to master the discs. This saved them significant money and time in the production process. Universal Studios was one of HD DVD's most powerful, early, and vocal supporters for exactly this reason. They argued that the simpler technology made HD DVD the pragmatic and economically sound choice for the industry. They felt this would win the day. Third, HD DVD had slightly earlier release dates. Their players and titles hit the consumer market just ahead of Blu-ray, giving them a small but crucial head start. For a brief period in 2006, it genuinely looked like the format that was cheaper and easier to make might just succeed. Their backers, including Universal and Microsoft, were extremely confident. They believed that the consumer's wallet would be the decisive factor in this technology scandal. But they fundamentally misjudged two essential elements. They misjudged the immense power of storage capacity and, critically, the overwhelming influence of a single major gaming console. These two factors changed everything. Let's talk about the crushing capacity problem that ultimately doomed HD DVD. This is where the core technical specifications began to write the story of the failure. A standard dual-layer HD DVD could only hold up to 30 gigabytes, or GB, of data. This was a lot, but not enough. In comparison, a standard dual-layer Blu-ray disc could hold up to 50 gigabytes of data. That's a 20 gigabytes difference per disc. That difference might sound small, but in the world of high-definition video, it became a massive, often insurmountable hurdle. Studios demanded higher bit rates for maximum visual fidelity as technology improved. For a long movie combined with an uncompressed, lossless audio track and a slew of extra bonus features, 30 gigabytes often simply wasn't enough. It forced compromises. Studios supporting HD DVD found themselves having to either compromise on quality, lowering the visual bitrate, or split long movies across two separate discs. Splitting movies was a huge consumer hassle. Blu-ray, with its comfortable 50 gigabytes buffer, rarely had this critical storage issue. It was inherently the superior container for the high-quality product that consumers actually wanted to buy. HD DVD tried desperately to mitigate this problem with the promise of a theoretical triple-layer disc. This would have promised up to 51 gigabytes of storage. However, these high-capacity discs were always expensive and never widely adopted by studios. Their initial technical limitation became a devastating long-term strategic weakness. When you are locked in a mortal format fight with a rival, giving them a 66% storage advantage is simply one of the gravest strategic failures you can possibly commit. Now, let's discuss the strategic masterstroke, the single decision that led directly to the sunset of HD DVD, the PlayStation 3. In November 2006, Sony launched the PS3 gaming console, and crucially, every single console sold came standard with a powerful built-in Blu-ray player. Think about the immediate genius and devastating power of this specific move. Sony was effectively subsidizing the launch of their proprietary disc format through their multi-million selling gaming division. This instantly created a massive installed base. Every gamer buying a PS3 was, intentionally or not, putting a high-definition Blu-ray player in their living room. This rapidly expanded the user base for Blu-ray that had nothing to do with movie fanatics, making it an irresistible platform for movie studios to target. There was also a perceived value for the consumer. They could easily justify the PS3's slightly higher initial price because it wasn't just a powerful gaming machine. It was also a state-of-the-art home theater component. Now, contrast this with the Xbox 360's fatal strategic error. HD DVD's main strategic console partner was Microsoft's console, but Microsoft chose to offer the HD DVD player only as an optional, external, plug-in accessory, costing around $200. This was a critical failure of imagination. It made the experience clunky, required an extra purchase, and was a separate cost. Only the most dedicated fans bought it, meaning the Xbox 360 did almost nothing to expand the core market for HD DVD. This difference in strategic vision was devastating. Sony took the crucial long view, absorbing the cost of the player to aggressively seed the market. Microsoft took the short view, protecting its console profit margins, and in doing so, effectively abandoned its format partner to the harsh whims of the open market. The PS3 didn't just sell a console, it sold a format. For the duration of the format war, the industry remained stubbornly split, which created enormous, paralyzing consumer confusion. People were terrified of picking the wrong format. Consumers feared ending up with a $500 player that would soon be useless and obsolete. This fear, known as format paralysis, severely slowed the overall adoption of both technologies. The studios played the field for a while, backing both sides. Universal and Paramount were key HD DVD exclusives for a time, while Sony, Disney, and Fox were strictly Blu-ray. But there was one key studio releasing on both formats: Warner Brothers, or WB. They represented about 20% of the entire US home video market. They were the ultimate prize. The war reached its catastrophic climax in January 2008 at the Consumer Electronics Show. The war was officially decided that day. Warner Brothers announced that they were abruptly dropping HD DVD support immediately. They would only release their massive library of titles on Blu-ray going forward. This wasn't just a studio defection. It was the ultimate surrender notice. The reason was clear. The PS3's success had established an undeniable, dominant installed base for Blu-ray. WB realized it was losing too much money and wasting resources releasing titles on both formats simultaneously. They looked at the numbers and the PS3's market power. This was the smoking gun in the history of technology scandals. The instant Warner Brothers defected, all the air went out of the HD DVD balloon. The dominoes began to fall instantly and spectacularly. Netflix announced they would immediately stop stocking HD DVDs for rent. Best Buy, a major electronics retail giant, announced they would begin phasing out HD DVD players and movies completely in favor of Blu-ray. Finally, Walmart, the largest retailer in the world by volume, announced in February 2008 that it would only carry Blu-ray products moving forward. Once Walmart and Best Buy, the two titans of physical media retail, pulled the plug, the format was dead on arrival. It didn't matter how cheap the players were anymore. If consumers couldn't easily buy the movies at the store, the hardware technology had absolutely no purpose. The ecosystem had collapsed. Just a few short weeks later, on the 19th of February 2008, Toshiba, the main architect and backer of HD DVD, announced its formal surrender. They stated they would cease the development, manufacturing, and marketing of all HD DVD players and recorders globally. The war that had raged for almost 3 years was over in a span of 6 brutal weeks. The financial fallout was absolutely staggering. Toshiba and its allies were estimated to have lost a cumulative total of between $500 million and $1 billion in the sudden, brutal demise of the format. They had invested heavily in manufacturing, marketing, and securing those crucial studio contracts. All of it was ultimately undermined by capacity limitations and a single gaming console. The story of HD DVD is a vital lesson that we must always remember when we look at failed projects and technology scandals. Lesson 1. Strategic alliances triumph over technical merit. HD DVD was arguably easier and cheaper to make, yes, but Blu-ray had the superior, more powerful strategic partner, Sony's PlayStation division. By baking the player into the PS3, Blu-ray overcame every single disadvantage it had in cost and speed. This is a critical reminder that technology never exists in a vacuum. It exists within a complex commercial and strategic ecosystem. Lesson 2. Storage capacity always matters. While 30 gigabytes seemed like plenty at the time, the 50 gigabytes on Blu-ray provided future-proofing and necessary flexibility that HD DVD critically lacked. In a quality-driven market, being superior in the key metric, the ability to hold a massive, high-quality file, is often far more important than simply being cheaper. Lesson 3. Consumer confusion is a killer. The existence of two rival formats created a paralyzing market fear. The moment a critical mass of studios and retailers finally aligned with Blu-ray, consumer choice was immediately simplified and the market exploded. But only for the clear winner. The format war was an ugly, expensive process, but the outcome was ultimate clarity for consumers. Blu-ray delivered true, uncompromising, high-definition video. It survived just long enough to successfully bridge the gap until the next paradigm shift came along, the age of digital streaming. HD DVD is now a technological relic, a stack of defunct discs serving as a permanent reminder. Even with corporate behemoths and massive investments, a few critical strategic missteps can lead to one of the biggest tech failures in modern history.